Welcome to The Explainer. When you're building a web page, are you just telling it how to look, or are you actually giving it real underlying meaning? Today, we're diving into a guide for modern, meaningful HTML. So here's what we're going to cover. We'll start with a core philosophy of HTML, then get into the power of what we call semantic tags. We'll see why this is so critical for accessibility, look at the tools you need, the old habits you should definitely break, and finally, how to build for the future. All right, let's jump right in. To really understand how to write good HTML, we've got to first agree on what its fundamental job actually is. I mean, is it just a tool to make some text bold or change its color? Or is its real purpose something much deeper, something, foundational to how the entire web works? Think of it this way. HTML gives you the structure. It's the skeleton of your page. It's the blueprint that says, hey, this is a heading, or this part here is a paragraph. All the visual stuff, the clothes, the paint, the design, that's all handled by a completely different language, CSS. The most important thing is keeping those two jobs totally separate. So that whole idea of structure leads us directly to our next big point. If HTML is all about what something is, then we need to talk about its meaning, or what developers call semantics. And this brings us right to the core philosophy of modern HTML. See, we have a choice. We can use tags that only describe how something should look, or we can use tags that describe what that content actually is. Is that word just bold, or is it genuinely important? Is that text just slanted, or is it being emphasized? It's a huge difference. And this quote, it just nails it. This is the guiding principle right here. Your HTML file shouldn't be all cluttered up with visual instructions. It should be a clean, meaningful document that just describes its own content. The presentation, that should always be a separate job. So why does all this matter so much? Is it just for picky developers to argue about online? No, not at all. The single most important reason to write semantic, meaningful HTML is accessibility. Okay, I want you to try and imagine this for a second. If you have a visual impairment, you might use a screen reader. And that screen reader doesn't see a web page, it reads the code underneath. If you use the right heading tags, it can actually present an outline of the page, letting the user skip right to the section they care about. But without that structure, it's just a giant, confusing wall of text. So when you use the right tags for headings, or for lists, or for important text, you're not just styling, you're creating a logical map. You're giving these assistive technologies clear signposts to follow, which makes your content navigable and understandable for everybody, no matter how they access it. Okay, check out this ASCII art cow. For a sighted user, it's kind of fun, right? A little image. But for a screen reader, it's just a total jumble of underscores, parentheses, and slashes. It's complete nonsense. Now, we use a special tag called pre to make sure the browser displays this cow exactly as we typed it, preserving all the spaces. But that doesn't solve the meaning problem. To make it accessible, we have to go one step further. And here's the solution. You have to provide a description that actually explains what this jumble of text is supposed to be. This is how you make sure that users who can't see the image still get the same information and context as everyone else. Okay, so what are the actual tools you should be using? Let's stock up our semantic toolkit with the right tags for the job when you're working with text. Now, this isn't just a list of tags. I want you to think of it as a list of meanings. H1 doesn't mean big text. It means the most important heading. Strong doesn't mean bold text. It means text with strong importance. Using these correctly is what gives you that crucial structure we've been talking about. And the nuance here is what really, really matters. It's so important. If you wrap text in strong, you're telling the browser and screen readers, hey, this content is fundamentally important. But if you use the B tag, you're just saying, make this look bold, without adding any extra weight or meaning. For real semantic HTML, strong is almost always the right choice. All right, so now that we've seen the right way to do things, let's take a quick look at the old way, the habits and the outdated tags that we really need to leave in the past. Think of these as the ghosts of HTML past. You might still see them floating around in old code bases, but you should absolutely not be using them in new projects today. You've got the font tag, the center tag, and oh boy, the infamous marquee tag for that awesome scrolling text. These are all now deprecated. And why? Well, because they do the exact thing we're trying to avoid. They mix structure with presentation. All of these visual effects should be done with CSS, not your HTML. Okay, let's bring it all home. We'll wrap things up with a few key takeaways and best practices that'll put you on the path to writing really excellent modern HTML. These are 3 of the most common mistakes out there, and they're so easy to fix. First, never ever use a bunch of line break tags to create space. That's a job for CSS margins. Second, always provide descriptive alt text for your images. It's crucial. And third, make sure your headings follow a logical order. Don't just jump from a level 1 to a level 3. And one last practical tip. What if you actually want to display a less than sign on your page? Well, you can't just type it because the browser is going to think you're starting a new tag. You have to use what's called a character entity. So for the less than sign, it's ampersand LT semicolon. You'll get the hang of it. And this really brings us all the way back to our central question. Building a web page isn't just about making something that looks good. It's about creating a document that is structured, that is meaningful, and that is accessible to everyone. By choosing meaning over simple presentation, we build a better, more inclusive web for the future.